think we need to further demystify and deconstruct the so-called benefit of the KADIWA stores, because this has been a staple program by the president, of course, in connection with his father. Okay, what's wrong with KADIWA, given the fact that it's very small in number, limited in reach, and yet high cost in terms of sustaining it? Basically, answered my question, but Prof, second, kindly elucidate the matter. Para,
Well, the purpose of the Kadiwa is to alter the high cost of rice. And hopefully, with enough pressure on the market, you can help bring it down. Uh, 30 years ago, I was helping NGOs who are involved in alternative trading, focusing on rice. And were saying then that to have an impact on the price of rice in general, you need at least to influence 25% of the market share of rice. Kadiwa, I think, doesn't even share 5% of the market share of rice. Uh, Personally, I had an experience with one of these Kadiwa stores when they launched it in a labor organization about last March. So they established the Kadiwa store with the price of rice at around 30 pesos. It started at 8 a.m. It closed at 5 p.m. and it never returned. So from my experience, is Kadiwa is basically just for show, just for
Yeah.
propaganda. I'm not sure how many Kadiwa stores are like this. They appear in the morning, they disappear in the afternoon, and they never return. So it just revolves around different areas of the country. So uh, I still have to see as a real study of how Kadiwa as a strategy will alter the price of rice, the high price of rice. So that's one example
but
on how this strategy is basically just for show or
okay,
propaganda at best.
but do you think that's a purpose to begin with, to basically help lower the price of rice? But perhaps that is not the intention, di ba? What do you think, Prof. Shello?
It's
Baka naman
actually
po
a it's a romanticization of a program of the father, because if we're talking about reducing the price of rice through competition by Kadiwa, you will need to have significant numbers of Kadiwa selling rice to be able to really reduce and introduce competition. But the discussion of the farmers that we don't even have enough supply of rice to sustain this Kadiwa. That's first. And then, as I mentioned a while ago, the statement of farmers saying that you will need 220 million pesos for rice alone to be able to operate it every day, to 220 million daily, ha? Just for rice. And then my third problem with that is also targeting, because as Sec Llamas mentioned, he was able to purchase ba from this Kadiwa store, right? If we have limited budget, I think the government should focus on being able to target the sector that it wants to help, right? But if you have a Kadiwa open to everyone, then you're essentially subsidizing everyone. And it's not prudent use of money, especially when you have limited funds. If you want to target the sector that you want to assist in terms of accessing cheap food, basic commodities, then Kadiwa is not the proper response to that. But unfortunately, yun nga bumabalik tayo sa pagro-romanticize ng isang programa na ginawa ng tatay ng ating presidente, na maybe in his head, nakikita niya as a solution, but obviously it's just a waste of money.
Pero nung second SONA, natumbok ni Presidente Marcos yung isa sa mahalagang component nitong para baguhin itong problema sa rice at saka sa
English, please.
agriculture. He was talking
Second.
about cartels. He was talking about hoarders. He was talking about smugglers. He was talking about syndicates. Sabi nga niya nung second SONA ay bilang na ang oras nitong mga hoarders at saka mga cartel na ito. But we have yet to see kung merong nahuli ba, merong bang napigilan, dito sa mga cartel na ito. Kaya going forward into the third zona, the same problem continues. Kahit natumbok niya yung mahalagang elemento ng problema, mukhang wala masyadong nangyari in between the second zona and the third zona in terms of cutting down itong mga cartels, itong mga hoarders, itong mga smugglers na ito. So, sa fourth zona ba ay ito pa rin ang kanyang sasabihin?
Okay. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. We noticed that one of our resource persons keep on doing his thing. So,
Guys, having too much fun with this, Ian.
Sorry?
You're having too much fun with this, Ian.
Yeah. Let this be the last warning from the chair. Okay.
Meron bang eject button dito?
Okay. Nakalimutan ko ito, itatanong ko. No? Usap muna kayo, nakalimutan ko ito.
But related to what Secretary Edu was saying regarding the cartels, isn't it that the government is also responsible for the creation of these cartels? Because even if with rice tariffication, if you only issue limited numbers of permits to import rice instead of just completely opening, anyone can import rice, then you essentially create cartels. And if you've created cartels, it should be very easy to monitor who are the hoarders, who are not being compliant in terms of the proper amount of margins in selling the rice. So again, you go back to sweet words promised by the president and the real action the government is doing in terms of solving the problem.
Exactly.
Nagbabangga.
Exactly. How can you miss the cartels? It's like missing
When you're the one who issued the licenses for them to become cartels, right?
Policy leads.
It's almost like missing the 45 buildings of Pogo Hub in Bamban, or the 50 high-rise buildings in Porac, Pogo Hub. So how can you miss them? How can you miss the cartels?
You think this was a convenient omission on the part of the president because his promise to go after these smugglers was very categorical in a previous zona. But as you have correctly mentioned, there was no such reference, at least as strongly, in his recent speech.
Mr. Chairman, who is answering?
Who will recite?
Mas gusto ko nagkakapa. Sige.
Nakakatawa yung principal eh. Masyadong stricto yung principal dito.
Stick lang tayo sa late.
Please clarify.
What?
To whom are you subjecting the question?
Subjecting the question.
Subjecting the question, ha?
Alam niyo naman si Sec Llamas sanay sa Senate hearing. So dapat mala senador yung para siniseryoso ka, Christian.
Sige, Mr. Alan Herman muna and then si Prof. Ronnie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. An astute question. By way of reply, I would like to point out that if there is no performance, then there can be no recognition because babalikan lang siya dyan. That will be very, very easily counterable. The Filipino is creative. They're going to make memes out of that. So if no cartel heads were actually caught or exposed, then best to steer away from it.
But yeah, how difficult is it for the president who sat for a while as agriculture secretary to identify these cartels and go after them? Diba? Prof. Ronnie muna.
Go ahead, Prof.
Go ahead.
I don't recall, but I think he was still agriculture secretary when he gave the second zona.
He was, Prof.
Yes.
So that probably is the reason why he did issue that statement, because he did not want to be held accountable for, let's say, the increasing prices of rice. And I would assume that right now the agriculture secretary did not feed to him any accomplishment in that regard in terms of running after cartels.
We have to be reminded that he applied the same process not just for rice but also for sugar, and then required the industries that need industrial volume of sugar to buy from these traders that are given permits to import.